The knock came exactly at 10:07 p.m. 3 slow taps. Not aggressive. Not nervous either. Just heavy. Like whoever stood outside my apartment had already lost everything before they even touched the door. I muted the basketball game and stared toward the hallway. Nobody visited me anymore. Not since the divorce. Especially not at night. I opened the door halfway, and froze. Claire? My ex-wife's best friend stood under the flickering hallway light, drenched from the rain. Her blonde hair clung to her cheeks, mascara slightly smudged beneath exhausted eyes. She wore an oversized gray coat over a black off-shoulder dress that looked far too elegant for whatever disaster had brought her here. I had nowhere else to go, she whispered. For a second, neither of us moved. Because Claire wasn't just anyone. She was the one person Emily had warned me about after the divorce. She always liked you more than she admitted. Back then, I thought my ex-wife was just trying to start another fight. Now Claire stood on my doorstep shaking from cold and heartbreak. Did Emily send you? I asked carefully. Claire gave a hollow laugh. Emily doesn't even answer my calls anymore. That hit harder than expected. I stepped aside. Come in. The apartment smelled like coffee and old loneliness. Claire looked around quietly, like she was entering a museum dedicated to a version of me that no longer existed. You still live like this? She asked softly. What's that supposed to mean? There's no life here, Ethan. The honesty stung. I handed her a towel while thunder rattled the windows outside. You want to tell me what happened? Claire hesitated. Then I saw it. The bruise near her wrist. Small. Fading. But real. My stomach tightened instantly. Claire, my voice lowered. Who did that to you? Her eyes watered immediately, like she'd been holding herself together for hours, and that question finally broke the last thread. I messed up, she whispered. Another knock suddenly echoed through the hallway outside. Much louder this time. Bang. 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 Claire's face turned pale. Then she grabbed my arm hard enough to hurt. Don't open the door. And that was the moment I realized. Whatever followed her here tonight was far worse than heartbreak. The pounding continued. Bang. 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 Claire, a male voice shouted from the hallway. I know you're in there. She backed away from the door instantly, breathing fast. I looked through the peephole. Tall guy. Dark jacket. Mid-30s. Angry enough to punch through drywall. You know him? I asked. Claire nodded slowly. His name's Ryan. Boyfriend? Her silence answered for her. The guy slammed the door again. Open up. I turned toward Claire. Did he hurt you? She looked away. That told me everything. Something inside me snapped quietly. Not rage. Something colder. Protective. I opened the door halfway before Claire could stop me. Ryan looked surprised for exactly 1 second before recognizing me. Oh. He smirked bitterly. The ex-husband. You need to leave. This isn't your business. It became my business when you followed her here. Ryan laughed under his breath. You have no idea what kind of woman she is. Claire suddenly spoke from behind me. Please just go. For a brief second, Ryan's anger cracked into something uglier, obsession. You're really choosing him? She's choosing safety, I said. His jaw tightened. Then he pointed at Claire. You tell him the truth yet? My eyes narrowed. What truth? Claire's expression changed instantly. Fear. Real fear. Ryan, she whispered warningly. But he smiled cruelly. She kept your divorce secret from you longer than anyone. I turned slowly toward Claire. What's he talking about? Ryan leaned closer. She knew your ex-wife was cheating months before you found out. The hallway suddenly felt airless. Claire closed her eyes. And that silence confirmed it. Ryan laughed bitterly before stepping backward. Good luck, man. She destroys every person who trusts her. Then he walked away down the hallway. The second he disappeared, I shut the door hard. The apartment went dead silent except for rain hitting the windows. I stared at Claire. You knew? Tears rolled down her cheeks immediately. Ethan, you knew Emily was cheating on me? I tried to tell her to stop. That's not what I asked. Claire looked shattered now. I didn't know how to tell you. I laughed once in disbelief. Unbelievable. You think I don't hate myself for it? I walked toward the kitchen, trying to calm the storm building in my chest. For 2 years after the divorce, I blamed myself. Worked longer hours. Drank too much. Stopped trusting people. And all this time, Claire knew. When I turned around again, she was crying quietly near the couch. I almost told you 100 times, she whispered. But every time I saw you, I realized I already cared about you too much. That sentence changed everything. Claire slept on my couch that night. Or at least she pretended to. Around 2 a.m., I walked into the kitchen for water and found her sitting alone in the dark staring out the window. "You don't sleep much either?" she asked quietly. "Not anymore." The city lights painted soft reflections across her face. Without makeup and without her usual confident energy, she looked heartbreakingly human. Fragile. "I really am sorry," she whispered. I leaned against the counter. "Why didn't you tell me?" Claire swallowed hard. "Because Emily was my best friend since college. And because I was already falling in love with you." The words hit harder than I expected. She laughed weakly through tears. Pathetic timing, right? I didn't answer. Because part of me already knew. There had always been moments. The way she looked at me during parties. The way conversations lingered too long. The strange tension whenever Emily left the room. Back then I ignored it. Now it all made sense. Claire wiped her eyes. "After your divorce, Emily blamed me for everything. Said I took your side emotionally. Did you?" She looked directly at me. "Yes." The honesty was dangerous. Rain continued tapping softly against the windows while silence stretched between us. "You should probably leave in the morning," I finally said. I watched pain flash across her face instantly. But she nodded. "I know." Then she stood to leave the kitchen, but her sleeve slipped slightly, revealing another bruise near her shoulder. I caught her wrist gently. "How long has he been hurting you?" Claire's eyes filled again. "Long enough that I forgot what normal feels like." Something twisted violently in my chest. Nobody should say that sentence like it's ordinary. "Why didn't you call the police?" "Because men like Ryan don't get scared of police." That answer chilled me. She slowly pulled her wrist free. "You don't need this mess, Ethan." Too late. The second she showed up at my door, this became my mess too. Then her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, and turned pale. "What?" Claire locked the phone instantly. "Nothing." "Claire." She hesitated. Then handed me the phone. It was a text from Emily. "My God. He knows you're with Ethan." Underneath it, another message. "Don't tell him about the money." I looked up slowly. Claire looked terrified. And suddenly I realized tonight's secrets were only beginning. "The money?" I asked carefully. Claire looked trapped. "It's complicated." "No. My marriage ending was complicated." "This sounds worse." She sat down slowly at the kitchen table like her legs suddenly stopped working. Then she whispered the sentence that changed the entire night. "Emily took money from your company before the divorce." I stared at her. "What?" "She moved it through fake accounts before lawyers got involved." For a second, I genuinely thought I misheard her. My ex-wife had helped manage finances while I built my architecture business. During the divorce, thousands had mysteriously disappeared, but there was never proof. "You knew this too?" Claire nodded weakly. "She told me after signing the papers." She was drunk and angry and, Claire shook her head. "I should have told you." I sat down across from her, trying to process everything. "How much?" Claire hesitated. "Almost $400,000. The room spun slightly. 400,000. That wasn't just betrayal. That was destruction. "That money nearly killed my company," I whispered. "I know." I stood abruptly and paced toward the window. Every sleepless night. Every panic attack. Every moment believing I failed my employees. All because Emily robbed me. "You have proof?" I asked. Claire slowly reached into her purse. "Flash drive. I copied everything months ago." I turned sharply. "Why keep this hidden?" "Because Emily threatened me." "With what?" Claire's voice cracked. She said if I exposed her, she'd tell Ryan where I lived after I left him. My anger faded instantly into something heavier. Fear. This woman had been trapped between two monsters. I sat back down slowly. "Claire, why come here tonight?" She looked at me for a long time before answering. "Because you were the only man who ever made me feel safe." That line landed straight in my chest. Not dramatic. Not manipulative. Just painfully honest. Then suddenly, the apartment lights shut off. Darkness swallowed the room. Claire gasped softly. A second later, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered cautiously. Hello? A distorted male voice came through. You should have left her outside. My blood went cold. Then the line disconnected. Claire looked horrified. Ethan. I moved toward the window carefully. Outside across the street, a black SUV sat parked in the rain, watching the building. And for the first time all night, I realized we might both be in serious danger. Neither of us slept after that call. I locked every door and checked every window twice. Claire sat curled beneath a blanket while thunder rolled outside like distant explosions. You don't have to stay awake, she whispered. I'm not sleeping while somebody watches my building. She looked guilty immediately. I brought this into your life. No, I said quietly. Your ex did. For a while, silence filled the apartment again. Then Claire suddenly laughed weakly. What? You know what's funny, she said. Emily used to accuse me of secretly wanting you. I looked over. And? She was right. The honesty in her voice made my chest tighten. I tried not to, she continued softly. You were married to my best friend. I hated myself for it. I sat beside her carefully. Did you ever tell her? Claire shook her head immediately. God, no. Another silence. Dangerous this time. Because we were both thinking the same thing. What if we had met differently? Without betrayal. Without broken marriages. Without bruises and midnight fear. Claire looked at me carefully. You know what scared me most after your divorce? What? That you'd become cold forever. I laughed softly. Maybe I did. No, she smiled sadly. You still opened the door tonight. That hit harder than she realized. Hours passed. At some point around 4 a.m., exhaustion finally softened the tension between us. Claire rested her head against my shoulder without thinking. And neither of us moved away. Outside, rain washed the city clean while old wounds quietly reopened inside us both. Then her voice came softly in the dark. If I had told you the truth years ago, would anything have changed? I looked down at her. Honestly? She nodded. Yeah, I whispered. Claire closed her eyes instantly like that answer hurt and healed her at the same time. Then suddenly, another phone buzz. This time mine. Unknown email attachment. No subject. I opened it carefully. My stomach dropped. It was a photo. Taken tonight. From outside my apartment window. Claire asleep against my shoulder. Someone had been watching us the entire time. And beneath the photo were 5 words. She ruins every man she touches. By sunrise, paranoia filled the apartment. I checked outside twice. The SUV was gone. But the feeling remained. Claire looked pale as she stared at the photo on my phone. That's Ryan, she whispered. You sure? He used to do this when he got angry. Pictures. Threats. Watching. I rubbed my jaw, trying to stay calm. We're going to the police. Claire hesitated again. Too long. What now? She looked cornered. There's something else. Of course there was. She sat down slowly. When I first met Ryan, it wasn't random. I waited. He worked with Emily. A chill ran through me. What kind of work? Claire swallowed hard. They were laundering money through fake construction contracts connected to your company. For several seconds, I genuinely couldn't speak. What? You were the perfect cover, Ethan. Successful business. Growing accounts. Nobody would question missing money immediately. The betrayal became almost unbearable now. My marriage hadn't just failed. I'd been used. Claire looked destroyed saying it aloud. I found out too late, she whispered. And when I tried leaving Ryan, he became dangerous. I paced across the apartment, rage building hotter with every breath. Why come to me now? Because Ryan thinks I still have copies of the financial files. Do you? She looked directly at me. Yes. A knock suddenly echoed downstairs near the building entrance. Then voices. Male voices. Claire's face lost all color. He found us. I looked through the blinds carefully. 2 men entered the lobby below. One of them was Ryan. The other looked bigger. Meaner. Claire grabbed my arm desperately. Ethan, we need to leave. Not until you tell me everything. Tears filled her eyes instantly. "I loved you before your marriage ended," she whispered. The confession hit like lightning in silence. And I think part of Emily knew. The room felt frozen. Years of tension suddenly rearranged themselves into something heartbreaking. Claire stepped closer slowly. "I never wanted to destroy your life." Then downstairs. Heavy footsteps began climbing the stairs. Coming closer. 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 Claire's breathing became panicked. And then, someone stopped directly outside my apartment door. Silence. 1 second. 2. Then Ryan's voice came softly through the wood. "You really think he can protect you from me?" The doorknob rattled violently. Claire jumped back instantly. I grabbed the baseball bat beside the hallway closet while my heart hammered against my ribs. "Ryan," I shouted. "Leave now before I call the police." He laughed from outside. "You should ask Claire what happened to the last guy who helped her." Claire looked horrified. "Don't listen to him." Ryan slammed the door hard enough to shake the walls. "Open it." I dialed 911 immediately. The operator answered just as another crash exploded against the door. "They're trying to break in," I said quickly. Claire suddenly burst into tears beside me. "This is my fault." "No," I snapped. "Look at me. This ends tonight." Outside, Ryan's voice turned darker. "She stole something from me." Claire whispered shakily, "The drive." I turned sharply. "What's on it?" "Everything. Names. Accounts. Illegal payments. Enough to destroy them." Another violent hit cracked the doorframe slightly. Police sirens sounded faintly in the distance. Ryan heard them too. Silence suddenly replaced the chaos outside. Then his voice came one final time. "You think she loves you, Ethan?" Claire squeezed her eyes shut. Ryan laughed coldly. "She only came because she needed another man to save her." Footsteps retreated down the hallway. Then nothing. A few minutes later, police flooded the building, but Ryan was already gone. Officers took statements while dawn slowly colored the windows pale blue. When they finally left, exhaustion crashed into both of us. Claire stood quietly near the door. "I should go." I looked at her in disbelief. "After all this?" "You heard him." "I don't care what he said." "But I do." Tears filled her eyes again. "Because part of it's true." She grabbed her bag. "I came here scared and desperate. Maybe that's not love. Maybe it's survival." Before I could answer, she opened the door. "Claire." She stopped. And for the first time since she arrived, I finally admitted the truth to myself. "I don't think I ever stopped noticing you." Claire's eyes shattered emotionally. For one heartbreaking second, I thought she'd stay. Instead, she whispered, "That's what scares me most." Then she walked away. And somehow the apartment felt emptier than after my divorce. 3 days passed. No Claire. No calls. No messages. But police investigators contacted me about the financial files she turned over anonymously. Anonymous. Even now, she was protecting me from the fallout. Emily was arrested 2 days later. Fraud. Money laundering. Corporate theft. Everything finally collapsed. But none of it mattered the way I expected. Because all I could think about was Claire leaving my apartment with tears in her eyes. Then on the 4th night, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered instantly. "Ethan." Claire's voice shook violently. "He found me." My blood froze. "Where are you?" She gave me a motel address across town. I drove like a madman through rain-soaked streets. When I arrived, the motel room door stood half open. Inside, Claire sat trembling on the floor beside the bed. Bruised again. Terrified again. But alive. The second she saw me, she broke completely. I pulled her into my arms while she cried against my chest. "I'm sorry," she whispered over and over. "For what?" "For bringing chaos into your life." I held her tighter. "Claire, you are not the chaos." "They are." She looked up at me with red, exhausted eyes. "You still came." "Of course I came." Her lips trembled slightly. "No one ever comes back for me." That sentence nearly destroyed me. I touched her face carefully. "Listen to me. You survive people who try to break you. That doesn't make you weak." Tears rolled down her cheeks again. Then softly, almost like she feared saying it, "I love you, Ethan." The room went silent except for rain outside. And this time, I didn't hesitate. I kissed her. Not passionately. Not recklessly. Just honestly. Like two broken people finally stopped pretending they didn't need each other. Then suddenly, headlights flashed through the motel window. A black SUV had pulled into the parking lot. Ryan found us again. Ryan stepped out of the SUV holding a gun. Everything inside me went cold. Claire saw him through the curtains and immediately panicked. "We have to go." But before we could move, police sirens erupted from every direction. Unmarked cars surrounded the motel parking lot instantly. Ryan froze. Then chaos exploded. Officers tackled him to the ground while detectives swarmed the scene. Claire collapsed against the wall crying from pure shock. One detective approached us carefully. "We've been tracking him for 48 hours. Your evidence connected him to multiple financial crimes and assault cases." Claire covered her mouth, shaking uncontrollably. "It's over," she whispered. The detective nodded. "Yes, it's over." For the first time since she knocked on my door, I saw her breathe normally. Weeks later, life slowly began rebuilding itself. Emily accepted a plea deal. Ryan disappeared into the prison system. And Claire? Claire started learning how to live without fear. One evening, months later, we sat on my apartment rooftop watching the city lights glow beneath us. "You know," she said softly, "I almost didn't knock that night." I looked over. "Why?" "Because I thought you'd hate me after learning the truth." I smiled faintly. "I tried to." She laughed quietly through tears. Then she looked at me carefully. "What changed?" I thought about it for a long moment. "The night you showed up?" I realized something. "What?" "Some people enter your life and destroy it." I reached for her hand gently. "And some people arrive after the destruction and help you survive it." Claire's eyes filled instantly. Then she leaned against my shoulder as the city moved endlessly below us. No more fear. No more running. Just peace. And sometimes, the person knocking on your door at 10 p.m. isn't there to ruin your life. Sometimes, they're the reason it finally begins again.